Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we took on the Montreal Canadiens in the conference finals, and unfortunately we lost to them, which came down to the fact that our offense kind of just did not find itself really at all. Montreal kind of stuck to their defensive strength for the most part of the series. Now we had some okay offensive games, like I'd say 4 goals is a decent game, 3 goals is okay, but a lot of the time we just found ourselves in a really tough spot, because obviously the first 2 games we ended up losing 4-2 and 3-2. We didn't respond with a 4-0 win in Montreal, which looks like we're going to get back into the series, but then we fell in a 3-1 hole, and it looked like we could have potentially done what we did to Philadelphia, which is win 3 straight games, but we could not win in Game 7. So unfortunately, the Montreal Canadiens went on to the Cup Finals only to lose to the Kraken. So it does suck that we weren't able to get to a Finals this year. I thought the team would have maybe made the Finals this year, but unfortunately, we just ran into a very tough goaltender and a very tough team in Montreal that was definitely more underrated, and I thought very solid defensive core on that team. So unfortunately, there is no cup this season, which means hopefully we could find one soon, because this might be the longest drought I've had to not win a Stanley Cup to start a franchise mode. Like most of the time by this point in franchise mode, I at least have 1 Stanley Cup under my belt, but I just cannot find a way to win with this team right now, which is kind of strange. So hopefully we can turn it around sooner rather than later. But anyways, before we get into another off season where we're going to have some probably tough decisions to make, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into the draft and see what we could do in terms of trades and kind of reworking the team a little bit. So the first 2 and only comments are from Garage TV. The first one says, definitely would have liked to see you jump in to watch that overtime in Game 5. And yeah, I would have maybe jumped into it, but at the same time, it wasn't really like a game that's going to dictate the entire series at that point, I think it was. Wait, you said Game 5, right? Overtime game in Game 5. You probably ended up making actually Game 2 then, because there was only 1 overtime. Oh, maybe it was in the second round you meant against Philadelphia, because that maybe would have made sense, jumping into a game there, because that was overtime Game 5. So yeah, we definitely could jump into a lot more playoff games if you guys want me to, but at the same time, obviously, I don't want to make episodes super long for you guys, because I know some of you guys don't really like sitting around and watching AI versus AI, but at the same time, I find like the AI versus AI stuff is kind of actually intriguing. It's actually a lot of fun to watch, so maybe in the next few years, we'll start watching a little bit more of our playoff action. Maybe not necessarily like first round games, but definitely conference finals, Stanley Cup finals for sure. Second round is up in the air, I guess. But I guess it depends on the situation of the game, like if it's going to overtime or if it's a game that maybe we could come back and win if we jump in, something like that. And lastly, Garage also says, Facecam was in the way for most of Game 7, so couldn't see the shots or how the Islanders were doing. And in the offseason, I would look to move on from Frendell and get a good return. And I apologize about the Game 7 Facecam stuff. I honestly meant to probably change it over to this portion, but I completely forgot about doing it, so that's why I ended up doing that. But we could go to Game 7 from that round still in the box score, so I could show you guys what the shots look like, just in case you guys wanted to see how we played actually in that game, because some of you guys might want to see this. So let's go on over to that so I could show you. So this would have been Game 7 against the Habs. So if I move my face, let's just take it fully off the screen for the time being. You can see the shots in that game. We outshot them 41-34. It was pretty even in that third period. Second period also pretty even. We outshot them in the first period. And then in like the face-off department, obviously, we also were actually pretty dominant on the face-off dot. So I feel like we probably could have won that game, but it's unfortunate it came down to those last 2 goals that decided. So unfortunate way to go, but maybe we could start building on something this upcoming season. Like, I definitely think our team is definitely good enough to eventually go back to a Cup Finals again, but I feel like we just need to find something that we don't have, which I honestly don't know what that is. Like, I feel like we have a good enough amount of offense on our team, good offensive players. Our defensive core, I feel like, is usually pretty strong. Our goaltending is relatively strong. So I don't really know what this team needs necessarily, but I hope that we could find what we're missing sometime in the next few off seasons. But anyways, he was also saying to move on from Frendell, and that's probably what we're planning on doing this off season. We're probably going to at least look at see what type of offers we could get in terms of the draft for him. I would like to offload his contract a little bit, because he is making $10 million, which isn't obviously the highest paid player on the team. However, we have just not been able to find a way to win with him. And the good thing for us, though, is we do also have left wingers that could place Anton Frendell on the top line. Like, Crane should definitely be a top line type of guy. Fido, Ragnarsson, like those type of guys are pushing Frendell basically out of the lineup. Biggers could get more ice time. So I think moving on from Frendell, who's the oldest guy I think on a roster, it actually might make some sense, unfortunately. So I really wanted to win a Stanley Cup with him, but maybe he'll get a chance to go win somewhere else. But it does suck that we're going to have to part ways with him. I just don't know what we're going to get in return because we have a good potential prospects. We could probably just get back picks maybe and see if they end up being good. But honestly, there's not really much that this team actually generally needs. Because our goaltending, I think, is pretty solid still. Obviously, Solovyov has been a little bit inconsistent at times, but I still really like Solovyov. From a defensive standpoint, our defensive core always has a logjam. Like, we might even have to trade away some of these defensemen this offseason. Like, Novoselicev, Holmstrom are listed as top fours, despite Schaefer and Albrecht also being top fours. So I might look to trade Albrecht in the same trade, or maybe a different trade. I'm not too sure exactly. But I definitely think moving on from Albrecht is one of the things we'd do this offseason. We could always do more of this when we get to the actual free agency portion, but there is definitely a strong possibility we need to possibly get rid of a defenseman on his team. Haken could easily jump into our defense core next season. Even Rudder technically can, so we'll probably maybe trade one of these guys at the actual draft itself as well. Or we might wait till next episode and then you guys could give me some suggestions instead. Maybe we could see what's on the block in that sense too. But from a defensive standpoint, we don't really need anything. Then if we look from our offensive standpoint, I don't feel like we don't need anything in terms of offensive prospects really that much. Because if we look through in the system, there's like all these low leads currently that are, some of them are unsigned, some of them are in AHL. Like, I just feel like we have way too much prospects almost that I don't feel like a prospect is something this team really needs that much of. So we're probably going to trade Frundell for picks unless there's a different offer that involves prospects as well. Maybe we could take prospects, picks, all that type of thing. But I don't really know exactly what type of value he has. Like, he's literally a 92 at 32. He's going to be on the decline soon, too. I think if I remember right in my other franchise mode, he retired around 36 years of age. So he's probably not going to be as good again, which is unfortunate. And also, one thing I wanted to mention beforehand, his production has been jumping around quite a bit as of late. Like, he had 111 points a few years ago, but now he's down to 64 points this year. He was great in the playoffs, 18 points in 20 games, so he definitely showed me he should still be on this team, but with the amount of left wingers we have, I don't think there's a place for him anymore. So yeah, we're definitely going to look and see what we could get for him. I just really hope that we could get something good enough. Obviously, he has 2 more years left on his contract, so technically we could hold on to maybe a bit longer. But maybe we have too many high-end talent players. Like, maybe we need some just average players in our lineup as well. So let's see what we could do in terms of that when we get into this draft. I don't really know if I'm going to find any good prospects in this draft. I don't remember what we have for picks. We have our just standard picks, okay. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get any crazy prospects, but we might. But let's hop on into the draft. Waste no time. Even though we've wasted enough time because I've been rambling like an idiot because I went to the gym earlier and now I feel tired as shit. So that's probably why I'm talking so much. But let's go to find trade and see what we could get for Anton Frundell on a find trade thing. See if there's any offers. He does have a good chunk of value. I'll show you guys his value here. You can see it's like worth probably more than a first round pick for sure. So let's go and open block and see. Nothing's found. What about just a find trade? Nothing's found. Damn it. Well, that's not good because I was hoping I would be able to find a trade. I can't even edit my my trading block in here, so I should have done that maybe beforehand. So let's just go to offer trade and see what teams actually have interest in Anton, because that will help things a little bit. Is there any team that has any interest that could afford him too? Chicago has interest, but they'd be over the cap by $6 million. So that's probably not going to do anything unless we retained money, which I don't really want to do. Anybody else? Dallas would be cap compliant. Okay, so Dallas is definitely the first team on the list so far. Anybody else? Florida would be over the salary cap. LA would be within the cap, so Dallas and LA. Maybe I should actually take note of these teams here. Let me open up Notepad, and I'll write down Dallas and LA here. Hopefully you guys like the ASMR of me clicking on my keyboard. So Dallas and LA. Let's see. Montreal would be over the cap. Let's see. Anybody else would be within cap. Philadelphia would be, which Philadelphia is a good team, so I don't know if I would want to trade him to Philadelphia. So I don't think Philly's high on my list to trade him to. San Jose would be over the cap. Seattle would be over cap. Anybody else? Nobody else. There's literally only 3 teams that would actually have the cap space to bring him in. So let's first foremost go to Dallas, I guess, considering they were the first team. They would have a lot of cap space, so I think that's a good deal to trade him maybe to Dallas. How much cap space would LA have? More than that. Wow. Okay, so yeah, Dallas or LA I think is my favorites to send him, just because they would have the cap space still to bring in other players, re-sign players that they want to. So I think Dallas or LA is the teams, not Philadelphia, because Philadelphia, it makes it a bit iffy on their cap, a little bit, and also I feel like they're too good of a team right now. I prefer to trade him to a Western Conference team. So first and foremost, the Dallas Stars. What do they got on the block that's kind of interesting? Is there anything that they would move out from? They wouldn't move their first next year, but they're drafting 18th this year, so that's probably going to be a late first rounder. Aside from that, what else do they got here? Medium fringe starter and Typhoon. They have Bobelev, who's a 78 at what age? 32, didn't it say? Yep, 32 years old. Not really intriguing there. Skaters matching block. There is a medium elite left wing, right wing. Alright, that might be a good starting point. Nikolai Kazanov. I do like my guys that can play both sides. I don't really need a player like this, to be honest. He was the 7th overall pick last year, but I might just have to take him. But there's also a 74 overall top 6 at 20, as St. Louis is making their selection. I wish I could call a timeout right now so I can make it trade easier, but we'll take a look at the draft players after the fact. Right now, I don't really care about what's getting drafted until we make this Anton Frundell deal. Oh, that was kind of nice. It actually left me on Dallas. I didn't even realize I was going to do that. All right, let's go back to the skaters matching blocks. So there is Mishchenko, who's a 74 overall, medium top 6 at 20 years old. He was drafted 9th overall recently. Like, he's a decent player, too. Zikov, medium 6. They definitely have the prospects. Like, I could hypothetically take Kazanov and Mishchenko and a pick, potentially. I feel like, though, that's robbing them of their top prospects. Like, I don't know if I really need players like this in the slightest for the AHL team, but might be a nice little reinforcements for that left wing side of things for down the road. How much value is that so far? Damn, Anton Frundell has literally a lot of value. Like, I should be able to get a first-round pick on top of all this, I think, for next year's draft. Yeah, and maybe even a little bit more than that, too. I think we got to make a deal with Dallas. I should probably do my due diligence and look at the LA Kings, too, but this might be the type of deal we want to make. Let's see. Can I get 2 first-round picks? I feel like it's maybe a bit too high. Maybe a smidge. So, maybe a second-rounder and a second-rounder. So 2 seconds, a first, Mishchenko and Kazanov for Frundell. Would that work? Maybe I'd have to add in a pick of our own this year. That's actually a pretty decent deal. I'm going to actually write that down quickly if I have time before the next team makes their pick, because I think that might be what I lean towards doing. So I feel like it's really kind of just taking Dallas all of their prospects, but they're willing to give these guys up. So we'll write that down. And now we'll head on over to the LA Kings and do our due diligence, just in case the LA Kings have anything more intriguing than that. Is there going to be a team making their selection here shortly? Yeah, I'll just skip through the Rangers so we don't get interrupted here. They take a grinder. Immediately grinder, that's interesting. Okay. So what does LA have for Frundell? And we got to put Frundell back on here so we could actually see the trade value. So let's see. Draft picks, they would part with their 25th pick this year. They're drafting later than the Dallas Stars, so I feel like maybe we want to go with the Dallas trade that I was just mentioning. They do have a medium elite goalie, 75 at 20. That's not really that bad, but we do have goalie prospects of our own. Don't think that's something I need too much. Medium top 9s, yeah, that's not a lot of value in terms of prospects either. I think we're going to make a trade with the Dallas Stars. We're going to send Anton to Texas, which is always a nice place to send somebody. Hopefully he doesn't get shot. I'm joking. I don't mind Texas, to be honest, but even though I've never been there. Yeah, so we'll literally send that same offer. I think that actually could work. We might have to add a pick of our own, or we might have to add something else, but literally Kazanov, Mishchenko, a first for next year, a second for next year, and a second for 2041. That's a haul of a package. And like I said, Kazanov would jump to our AHL team. He could be NHL bound within a few years. And we could use him more as a right winger if we want to. Then we also get Mishchenko, who could end up panning out as well. Like, these guys were both very high up picks. So I think this is a pretty good trade. Basically, it's like 3 first rounders and 2 second rounders for Frundell. I'm not too sure if it makes the most sense in the world for Dallas, but it should be a player that helps them out immediately. And I could definitely see it pushing Dallas into the playoffs, and then this first is like a late first round pick. But let's see if this deal works. So Frundell for Kazanov, Mishenko first, a second, and a second. Will this work? That's accepted. Wow. And they think they came out ahead, so maybe we could have got 2 first round picks, but that's a lot of value for Anton Frundell. So let's salute Anton Frundell. Best of luck in Texas, my man. It's sorry that it didn't pan out and we didn't get you a Stanley Cup while you're with us, but we got to give Corinne an opportunity on that top line and find a way to maybe make us a little bit weaker, because maybe we're just too good right now. I don't really know exactly, but let's see where Frundell's fitting in our left wingers. Maybe I should have done that too, just to see if it makes sense. They have Gavin McKenna, but they could use him as a center. Alright, yeah, this definitely makes Dallas a better team. Like, if we look at the Dallas Stars forward chart now, Frundell's the best player on this team. They don't really have the best depth in Dallas, but they have some pretty high-end talent players. Like, their top line could literally be something like McKenna, Frundell, and maybe Dalibor Dvorsky. I'm not too sure if they'll use anybody of a right winger, but they definitely will have a pretty good-looking top line. So, there's our blockbuster trade this year. I think that's a good trade to make. Obviously, we get ourselves 2 good prospects. One of them's medium elite potential. We get our first round pick that could end up being a low lead or something like that next year. We got 2 second rounders that we could use to move up into the first round if we want to at some point. But that's a pretty big blockbuster trade. That might be the biggest trade we've made in this entire series. And we've made some pretty big ones early on when we were rebuilding. But maybe the biggest since the Barzal deal. A high top 6 going 3rd overall is Bachman. Let's actually take a look at these top 3 players here. So Klassen going to St. Louis. His actual name is Dallas, which is kind of funny since we just made a deal with Dallas, and I ended up saying Dallas took the 1st overall pick at one point, but interesting. And then Anderson, what's your name? Brad Anderson. He's a grinder. Interesting. I wonder how this medium elite grinder is going to pan out. Like, is he going to be the type that could do good offensive stuff, or is he just going to be very physical? So there he goes to the Rangers, and then Bachman is a high 6 going 3rd. I feel like this is probably not a good draft class, so I'm glad at least we took picks for next year instead. So there is Bachman. He's a playmaker. All right, let's simulate to our pick at 30th, because I don't think I really want to move up, right? Is there anybody interesting in this draft? I don't remember. I do not remember. Let's see. Oh, I did pin a lot of guys. There's actually some decent steals. But we got to easily take Strombolopoulos with our first round pick. There is some decent players in this draft, but I don't know if I really want to move up or not. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to move up. So I think we'll keep our pick at 30, and we'll see what we end up being able to pick here. So let's simulate for the rest of this top 5 first. Lop is a 74 overall medium elite DFD. So yeah, this draft class is quite weak when the first round, the top 5 has players that are not even really NHL caliber yet. Like, Klassen's barely an NHLer. Anderson is pretty close, but I think he needs at least a year. These 2 are not NHL ready, so this is definitely one of the weaker classes we've seen. And Vancouver takes McMuffin. I didn't even realize there was a McMuffin in this draft class, but shout out to Donovan McMuffin. So that's what he looks like. He's probably one of the better players in this draft class, to be honest. So shout out to him going to the Canucks. We'll simulate to our pick now at 30th and see what we can snag up here. Let's see what went before our selection out of curiosity. Medium 9s, medium 6s already. Yeah, I don't feel great about that. Like, there's going to be some steals in this draft for sure, but in terms of, like, the high-end talent, there's not really much. There's a low-elite 2-way. Mark Hu, that's pretty good for Colorado. Bengoa, top 4. Okay, some okay players too. But yeah, definitely not a strong class. Definitely not a strong. A high top 6 D going 12th. Yikes. That's a bit of a oof pick. Medium elite in Kempin, and that's a decent for 6th overall. But let's see what we can snag up here with our selections. So the highest player up here is Greilinger as a goaltender. I don't need goalies that bad. I'm not going to take him. There's a Letowski, who is 3 years out. He's probably just a 65. There's Strombolopoulos. I'd say he's top on my list as a low-lead defenseman. We don't really need defenseman much, but he's a few years out. Don't need Jensen as a medium 4, probably. Wasn't this the draft class? So yeah, it was the draft class. I think this goalie was the one that's pretty close to being in it. Yeah, this one. 1 year out. I might have to make a trade early in the second round to get this guy, but I think this guy could be a really big stud of a goaltender because the fact that he's 1 year out. Like, you don't see goalies making it at 19 years old all the time, especially with elite potential. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take the low lead first round, but I'm going to make a trade for an early second rounder and take that goalie, even though I don't need goalies that much. Because he might jump to like a lot of our goalie prospects. So I think we're going to take the low lead in Strombolopolis, and then we're going to try and move early into the second round. We have we could literally trade one of our seconds that we just acquired from Dallas to get a second rounder for this year. So let's go with Steve Strombolopolis with our selection. So that way we continue to build up our defensive core. And boom. 64 overall, it's pretty good. Obviously a few years out, but I do think that's going to be a decent player for us at some point. And like I said, obviously he could pretty much knock a defenseman out of our blue line at some point. This is all just to prepare in case guys like Howden start to drop off and all that too. So I think it's good to have a little bit of a logjam on defense in a way. All right, so we want to move into the early second round. That guy's supposed to go like 51st. Let's see, second round, the Canucks do want to move this early pick. That's maybe a bit too early, but I don't really care how early I move. I want that goalie, so let's see if we could talk to the Canucks here. And we will give them, first to start, we'll give them a second rounder from Dallas next year already, maybe. Yeah, we'll give them literally the second round we just acquired. And we will also give them... we do have multiple thirds next year. We'll give them Philadelphia's third that we acquired in the trade that we made with them not too long ago. So a second and a third for a second this year. I think that's a good little trade. It's a lateral move. Obviously, we don't really need that much to picks anyways, so I don't really care if I get gypped off a little bit. And then we also get a goalie that's maybe 1 year out as a medium elite. So let's do that deal. Boom. There we go. Nice little trade there. We should be able to easily get that goaltender now. Let's assimilate to our next pick, and then we'll take a timeout and take a look at what went after Strombolopolis, just out of curiosity. But let's call it a timeout. See what went before our next selection. So Barlow's medium 6, Yip's medium 9. But what was the right after our pick in that first round? Gerby, medium 6, 67. Pekka, 65 overall, low lead. That would have been decent too, but we don't necessarily need another Pekka on this team because when the Islanders had Michael Pekka, they didn't do anything. So we don't need another one. So, all right. I don't know why I took a timeout at this stage, but it is what it is. All right, so we could technically for some other people here, like there's like Lutowski and all that, but I do want that goaltender. I just feel like he's way too intriguing to pass up on. Like, I don't think I've seen a goaltender that's 1 year out as an 18-year-old, so like he's not guaranteed to be medium elite. Oh no, he is guaranteed to be medium elite now. Oh, that even makes it better. Like, he could literally be a 75 overall medium elite and be 1 year out as an 18-year-old. Like, this guy we could literally have as a career Long Islander almost for the rest of the series because he's going to be so young. So I think we got to take him here. Dempsey, what does he look like out of curiosity? Ooh, Dempsey's good too, 1 year out. Maybe I should try and get another second rounder for this year. Huh. Trying to think. Maybe I do have time to make another trade here. Who has actually an early pick that I could trade for as well? The Sharks. Alright. So if I want that other medium elite, what do you guys want? I do need to get rid of Albrecht. I think Albrecht's the one that for sure makes sense because he was complaining already about his ice time. So, they do want Albrecht. I give you guys Albrecht in this deal because we don't need him anymore. And then I give you guys my own second round pick that's 62nd this year since I have 35 already. And then maybe I take back like a third for next year from the Oilers, sure. And that might work, it might not work though. I'm literally giving them a young defenseman that they could develop. I just don't feel like we have the room for Albrecht anymore. We just drafted Strombolopolis, who could take Albrecht's spot in a few years too. So let's see if this works. Boom. Rejected. Okay, what if I take rid of the third and say, hey, San Jose, I'll take your pick for your 5th round pick instead. Would that work? That's rejected as well. What if I just do the second rounder straight up? That's rejected too. So Albrecht's not enough to move up that many amount of spots, so I have to add to this deal. So I will throw you guys a 6th round pick for next year, because I'm nice. Boom. You're welcome. There you go. All right, so we're going to get 2 guys that are 1 year out. We don't necessarily need all these top-end prospects, but at the same time, we might as well keep replenishing our prospect pool, right? So first and foremost, we need ourselves that goaltender. I could actually take that guy earlier, though, the 1 year out dude, Dempsey. Yeah, let's take Dempsey one spot before, a couple spots before. So Nelson Dempsey is going to be joining our team. We do need right wingers, so this is a nice little move too. He looks like he's a lowly, but he's going to be almost 1 year out. So, boom, welcome aboard to Nelson. 72 overall, right wing sniper. That even makes it better that he's a sniper. I was not sure if he was going to be a sniper or not, but that's a nice move. That's a very nice move. He already has NHL ready shot too. So this draft class actually is not that bad. It has a little bit of a weakness to it, but there's these nice little gems here like Nelson Dempsey. He's literally going to make the AHL roster. Actually, he can't play in the AHL next year. That sucks. He's going to make the NHL in 1 year like it says with his ETA. I like that selection a lot, and it gives us a potential goal scorer for his team, which is something we don't really have fully, I'd say. We do have some goal scorers, but we don't have like a full guy that could maybe hit 50 plus goals. I think Dempsey could be one of those type of guys, so that's a nice selection. All right, Calgary is going to take their pick, and they take Letowski, who's just a 65 overall top 6. Not a bad player still, though, for the 2nd round. And now, how good is this goaltender? If he's 1 year out as well, you would think he's at least going to be a 72 as well. But I'm surprised Komatov's projected to go after Grellinger, because Grellinger doesn't look that good. He looks like he's guaranteed to be like a 65 overall medium elite, but you look at Komatov, he's literally 1 year out with some amazing stats as an elite goaltender. So we're going to take Alexei Komatov, the goalie. What overall is this guy going to be? 72 as well. Okay, so maybe 1 year out ETA always means like around a 72, but that is a very good overall for a medium elite goaltender in the 2nd round. Absolutely brilliant. This guy's also AHL eligible, which is nice, but I might not play him in the AHL. I'm not too sure. We have a lot of goalies, so I might have to trade with some goalie prospects in some stage. Maybe I should do that even now. I don't even know. That's a really nice pick, too. Very nice. Actually, let's just let's go like this so we could get a nice screenshot, basically, of our 2 picks in the 2nd round. Unreal back-to-back selections, pretty much. All right, so I do want to take a look at our goalie prospects here because maybe I would already ship one out, but I feel like we have a logjam in net almost. The good thing is we have already replacements for Solovyov once he decides to leave or retire, but we have literally a high elite goalie from last year's draft class too. Like after Schulz is a high fringe start. He's not even that bad. Wisniewski is the high HL starter. I kind of want to keep this guy under contract, but I might have to part ways with him already, because he doesn't have much potential. Nicholas is still a few years from the AHL, so that's okay. Lannon's going to be let go of probably this offseason. We could always let go of Letowski soon too, but I think we could always probably sign Komatov to ZLC, let go of Lannon, and we'd probably have Schulz, Komatov, Wisniewski in the AHL. In case of an injury or a call-up, we obviously have a depth goaltender down there. And in NHL, we might re-sign Letowski and play with Solovyov again for 1 more year. So I think Lannon's just going to be on his way out, which means I don't need to trade him. I could just let him go to free agency. So that's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. This prospect pool is going to be insane, though. Like, we're literally going to have to make some really tough decisions. All right, I think that's all I need to make for the 2nd round selection. So let's simulate to number 94. And I don't necessarily need to get any other crazy steals, but we could have literally gotten a 71 overall medium elite power forward, apparently, in Waters, who just went to Pittsburgh in the 3rd round. Holy moly. 18 years old, too. That's an absolute crazy steal there for the Penguins. Absolutely crazy. How does that go in the 3rd round? Wow. All right, maybe we should have tried to get a different pick in the 3rd round, too. Not that I necessarily need that guy, considering we just traded for some medium elites with Dallas, too. Damn, man, that's crazy. That is crazy. This might be actually a good one of the better draft classes in that sense. All right, so anybody that I have pinned left? There is still some guys that are low elites that I have pinned. Nobody that's supposed to go. And I don't really need the goalies, to be honest, anymore at this point. So I'm just going to remove the goalies from this list, even though they are medium elites. Let's see. Lowly playmaker, we could get you 7th round. Esh, I could get you next round probably. Ramjit Singh. You're 20 years old. I don't really care too much. You're our gem, though, but you're 20 years old. You're not going to really develop much. The only ones I really want is Menino and Esh, so maybe we take those guys to the next round. Gite could be a lowly, but it's hard to tell. Maybe he is 3 years out. But there is a medium top 6 enforcer. Medium top 6 enforcer listed as a gem. That's also pretty friggin' cool. Stephen Abney. Or Stefan, maybe it's pronounced. But that would actually be kind of neat. I don't know why he's a gem, though. He's literally 6'6", 232. This is a huge boy. For 18 years old, goddamn. Do I take him or do I take Gite? Because Gite could be a low elite. Gite looks pretty good, but he also could be a low top 6. So I think I'm going to take the medium 6 gem. I think I'm just going to. Maybe that means he's going to develop, but literally an enforcer for this team. Why not? Why not? So let's go with him. Even though T. Horton, which almost looked like Tim Horton, it's Tom Horton. Oh my goodness, his draft class. Tom Horton, is he a lowly? Probably not. Could be, but Tom Horton, that's funny. America has Tom Hortons, it's Canada has Tim. I know America does have some Tim Hortons, but let's go for the enforcer here. Might as well get a little physical with this team. Boom. 53 overall. Pretty low, but the fact he was listed as a gem, I feel like he could pan out, but I don't know if he will. If he becomes anything crazy, it will maybe be for the AHL. But regardless, we have a guy that punch faces and protect the young guys in the minors, maybe. So I'll take it. All right, let's simulate to our next pick and see if we could get those other elite players that we were looking at here. As there's another enforcer that just went, Zacharias. So a lot of physical specimens in this class too. Interesting. Okay. So our next selection here, let's go based on pinned. We don't need another Kasivi on this team. We're going to go with Esh with this selection here. See if he is actually a decent low elite. Regardless, it gives us another center prospect. So centers are something that we actually don't have a ton of, I feel like. So maybe that's actually not bad. So we're going to take Esh here, and then our next pick we'll probably take Menino. Boom. 53 overall, that's pretty solid. 53 overall, low elite playmaker. Obviously a while before he makes the NHL, but I will definitely take him in the 4th round here. We could have probably even got him next round, but I don't really care to be honest if I'm taking him early or not. Alright, so the next player is supposed to go probably 7th round. Do we still have our other 2 picks in this draft class, or did I trade them? I don't remember. Let's see, draft board. We still have all of our picks this year. So I could literally take other people ahead of this guy. So let's see what we got here. There's nothing really interesting here so far, at least it looks like it. This guy might be a little elite, but he's 20 years old and Rodney. I don't know about that, to be honest. Yeah, I honestly might just go off the board and take that guy I want already. Petrell's already 20 years old. 20-year-old little elites usually just develop in the bottom 6 forwards for the most part, so let's just go for the guy I have pinned already at this point, and then we can see if we can find anything in the 6th and 7th round. But we're going to take Menino. Probably also low overall, but at least it gives us more center prospects. He's a 58 at 19. That's not too bad, but I don't know if he'll develop like crazy. But we have so much elite prospects that we're going to have to make some crazy deals in these next few years, or we basically just run in an AHL team full of NHLers almost. All right. Let's simulate to 190, see if we could find anything with these last 2 selections. But this has been a very good draft for us in terms of trading and also picking up some players that we want. Maybe we'll just go for Petrell, even though he's 20. You know what? Sure. Matty Petrell, welcome aboard. Low top 9. 61's not bad, but he is 20 years old. Probably not a guy to get his ELC at any point, but maybe become something for an AHL team down the road, for any other team. And our last pick at 222. Can we find a lucky pick here with all the 2s on the board? Let's see. Oh, there's a gem. I didn't even realize this guy, or else I would take him last round. Oh, it's a Ramjit Singh guy that I had been before. Guess we'll just take Raymer here. Might as well take Raymer. And he could at least maybe make us a good team, because then we'll be on EA's side of things. 56 overall, low elite 2-way forward at 20 years old. 56 at 20 is pretty low, but I'll take it. Maybe he develops, maybe he doesn't. All right, so a pretty damn good draft, I would say, in terms of both making trades, picking up some good prospects. Strombolopoulos is a low elite. Then we had Dempsey, who's a low elite 72 sniper. Fantastic. Komatov, medium elite 72 overall goalie. Abney's also a medium top 6 enforcer. Esh is a low elite. Menino's a low elite. Petrel was trash. Ramjasingh is a low elite. So, in general, maybe one of the best classes we've had. We'll see how those guys develop, I guess, too. But now it comes to the resign stage. Obviously, we just traded away our captain and our cover athlete for this franchise mode. So now I have to think about also who's going to be the cover for the next thumbnails and stuff like that. The thing is, I don't know if I have any screenshots of anybody else for the thumbnails yet. So I might have to actually jump into a preseason game when we get to the start of the season sim, just so I could get a screenshot of somebody. Wait, what player are you? Assistant coach. Okay. But yeah, I might have to jump into a preseason game in next episode. And if you guys could remind me on doing that, that would be nice, just so I could get maybe a cover photo of like whoever is going to be our thumbnail athlete again. I don't know who it's going to be, though. I'm trying to think who I want it to be. Because maybe Crane, but I also do think Houghton maybe could deserve it too, because Houghton's the man in terms of offense. So it's probably either one of those two. You guys could actually let me know down below maybe who would you prefer to be on the thumbnail, Houghton or Crane, because both of them probably deserve it. And I don't know who becomes the captain of this team next. That's another thing. Who should be captain? Houghton, Crane, Bjorkstrand. There's probably a couple other guys that could definitely be up there for it. But we definitely have to make some decisions with that too, because we definitely don't want to just have an alternate captain. There definitely should be somebody that's in line since we got rid of Frendell. I don't think we want to wait and find out who it's going to be. So let's get to this resign stage. How much money do we got to spend? How much money? 24 million bucks. God damn, that's not a lot. But we do have some big one big UFA at least. At least we freed up some cap space. I'm going to qualify probably a lot of these RFAs. Yeah, I'm going to qualify a lot of these RFAs just because it's cheap and easy to do. So we'll just cheap out here, get all these guys back. What about Carlson in the AHL 2A? Yep, perfect. That's good with me. Ulanov is kind of close to being a bottom 6 option, so maybe he makes the team this season. Goalies, I'm going to let go of Lanin, like I said, because we are going to sign that goalie we just drafted. So I'm going to go to goalies, and we are going to sign Komatov. And he will play in the minors as the backup behind Schultz. Vishnevsky will get scratched as a high HL starter, but like I said, if there's any injuries in terms of goaltending, we are okay with the depth. So I don't mind that. Aside from that, goalies are all good to go, I think. Don't need to sign any of these guys to their ELCs yet. Like Dempsey could get an ELC yet, but he isn't AHL eligible, so I'll probably wait on that. Nielsen isn't AHL ready yet, I don't think. Is he? He is eligible, but I don't know if I want to put him in the AHL yet. Popov is pretty close to AHL. Like, a lot of these guys probably can play in the AHL next year, but we could wait. Erzberg still has that medium elite potential, but I do not know if he will reach it. I honestly don't. So he could be a potential trade candidate at some point. Maybe, because 67 at 21 is quite low for a medium elite. He could end up still being a generic top 4 defenseman, but let's keep a lot of these guys unsigned for the time being. In terms of the UFAs, let's go to the bottom of this list here. Who do we got at signed for the AHL? De Rocher as a low elite 57. We are going to let go of Bordeleau because he's not going to pan out. Sorokins is a 62 at 22. Normally, I sign all my low elite prospects, but I feel like I have so much of them that I'm going to have way too much contracts at some point. I don't think I'm going to give Sorokins his ELC, because he's probably not going to pan out. If he does pan out, he becomes a bottom 6 forward for some team, but he doesn't have the greatest attributes. He was a 7th round selection, very low overall for his age. So I'm going to send Michael Sorokins to free agency and not even give him an ELC. You know, it might be a little bit of a risk doing that considering he's got low lead potential, but I just don't think he's going to become much. Hall is a low top 6, 69 at 19 is not bad at all, but we have so many prospects that I don't know if I could do that unless I get rid of somebody in the AHL like Bobelev. You know what? We're going to do a little bit of a youth movement in the AHL. We're going to let go of Boblev. Hall's going to get a chance to get his ELC as a low 6. And we're also going to sign DeRoche too, just because he's at least young still-ish. A lot of these other AHL guys I might only give a 1-year deal to. Let's see. Kadri, 1-year deal is good with me. I just don't want to give these guys long-term deals in the AHL because obviously they could get replaced relatively quick. Rawlings, you could take a 1-year deal. Bure, you could take a 1-year deal if you want it. You want a 2-year deal, we're going to talk you to a 1-year deal, though, if you can. He might not actually sign a 1-year deal. We're going to let you go then, Bure. Sorry, man. Sorry. What about Rokan? Would you take a 1-year deal? You want a 2-year, 1 year, you drop down a decent amount, but we should be able to get you on a 1-year deal, I think. Amadio, we could probably get you on a 1-year deal as well, right? I'd hope. Yeah, probably. Perfect. All right, so those are good. Prince is a 76 at 27. He's almost an NHL depth for, to be honest, but very aggressive player. I don't think there's a room for him in the end. He's got good slap shot power, not the accuracy. He might be able to score some goals at the NHL level, but he's probably one of these guys that we just let go of. He's a good leader in the AHL potentially. You know what? We'll just bring back Prince for the 1 year. Sure, take it, man. We are going to let go of Malden as a depth option. Jarvis was okay last year, especially in the playoffs in the last little bit, but I don't think he's anything huge. 10 points, 47 games, 6 points in the playoffs. Yeah, he wasn't bad, but I could look for some new bottom 6 options, so we're going to let him walk. Ellington is an 80 at 25. Only played a little bit with us this season. 41 games, 12 points. A little bit of a defensive liability. He's listed as a third-line scoring forward. I don't know if he's going to get that type of ice time with our team. 2.4 million is kind of steep for me. I think I might honestly let him go. Leahy is a third-line center and then Nielikainen. I think I could let go of Nielikainen maybe. Because if I look at our forwards without Nielikainen, we got Bjorkstrand, Crane, Makinen. So that's 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe I should bring him back. You know what? I'm going to try and bring back Nielikainen and Leahy. If I can't bring back Nielikainen, maybe I hold on to Ellington. But I don't really know if that's what I'm going to lean towards doing or not. Letowski is a backup option for 1 year. I think is fine while we get those goalies developing. So let's try a 1-year deal. Just talk him up a little bit more. Since we got the money a little bit. Yeah, let's go 1.1. That's a cheap little contract. So what about Nielikainen? What is he wanting at this stage? 4.35. That's actually kind of steep. It's kind of steep. I mean, he did just score 24 goals this season. But he might never reach it again. He's also 29. So, Leahy's only 25, so we definitely got to try and hold on to Leahy. Can I justify giving him a no-trade clause? I don't know about that. How was Leahy this season? I know he was terrible in the playoffs, but 56 points in the regular season, playoffs, 7 points in 20 games. It's not the worst, but he wasn't as good as he should be. He's also listed as a second liner. And technically our top 6 is already going to be Bjorkstrand, Makinen, Giordano. So that's 3. 4 with Crane. 5 with Cialfito, who dropped down to an 83. 6 with Ragnarsson. But who do I get as a third line center if I let go of Leahy? Because I could always, I guess, run these 3 as the centers, but I don't feel like one of them should be a third line center. They all have no movement clauses. If I literally gave a no trade clause to Leahy, that would be a lot of players with clause potentially, and I might be getting into Lou Lamoriello territory. I do like Leahy. I really do. But I don't know if I want to give him that. Because a few years ago, he was really good in the playoffs with the 12 points. Like, that third line was good, 9 points 1 year. I'm just worried about him dropping off due to ice time. But he is going to get power play time. Was he okay with his ice time last time he was playing? I don't even know. Do I want to bring him back? That's a really tough decision. Nielikainen, how much years did you want again? 4.3 for 2. Leahy doesn't have that much organizational interest either, though. So I don't think I could drop it down drastically. Like, I might be able to drop this down by 1.5 bars, maybe. Like, maybe I could drop it down to somewhere around here, like 5775. I just don't know about the clause. If I got rid of the clause, how much does this drop this by? Quite a bit. What if I did a modified and then added more teams to this list? I'd have to literally go like 75% to teams, which is a lot. But it's better than none. 75, 90s were 90% trade protection. You'd literally only be able to get dealt to like 3 teams. That's not a lot of work to deal with. At that point, you might as well just not have modified. No movement clause plus modified. Okay, no movement clause plus modified might work like 62%. Do I want to give him that? 5775. I feel like our defensive core is going to start costing us a lot too in the future. That's the one thing as well. Guess, maybe not. Because a lot of these guys are still in their ELCs for a bit. They'll be RFAs for a while. We do need money in a few years for those RFAs, though. We could always trade guys beforehand, too. We do have prospects in the system. Do we have any crazy good center prospects that are coming up that could replace Leahy in a couple years? Sprooks, probably not. Petrell, no. These guys are... We don't really have a lot of center prospects. I think we might have to give him what he's asking for just because we don't have a lot of center prospects. If we had prospects in center, I'd feel safer about letting go of him. But I think we got to hold on to him. So we're going to do the no movement plus modified. We're going to change this all the way up to 62, I think it was. And we're going to drop this down to like 5775 if we can. I think that was where I was at. And maybe a tiny bit higher. 5.8 for 5 years. Gives us at least some teams that we could potentially flip them to. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. I don't really know if I really want to give him this contract, but I think since we don't have a lot of center prospects, we need to kind of hold on to him, or else we'd have to sign somebody in free agency, which isn't the worst thing. But I feel like 5.8 at least isn't breaking the bank too much. It's not like we're signing him to like 15 million. So, you know what? We're going to do that. Boom. Let's offer him that. I'm going to wait on Nielakainen and Ellington, but I'm probably going to try and hold on to maybe Nielakainen, but he might complain about his ice time. Trying to think here. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Kazanov's close. 10. With we don't have a lot of right wingers if I'd let go of Nielakainen. Do I prioritize him or Ellington? I could honestly maybe give Ellington a chance over Nielakainen because he's 4 years younger. But Ellington was pretty bad defensively last year. He would be getting more ice time this season now. 88 passing, 80 passing, 4.5-star shooting, 3-star shooting. Who do I want more? A power forward or a playmaker? I apologize about me rambling and trying to figure this out, but it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision. Let's actually see if we get the people back first and foremost, because maybe that'll help me a little bit, see how much cap space we got. I don't really know. So the coach accepted. That's good. And scouts are accepting, which is good. Looks like Letowski at least accepted with the NHL team. Not too sure on anybody else. Leahy rejected because the trade protection he's getting doesn't meet his needs. So he wants the full no trade, basically. Unless we give him more money. Oh, boy. Come on, Leahy. Come on, buddy. I know you want to come here. Or stay here, I should say. What if I gave you a little bit more trade protection? What if I put it up to 75 instead of 62? So, and let's go back down to the 5.8. So we're just basically making there more teams that he can't go to. He's only going to be able to only go to like 8 different teams, but at least that's better than nothing, I think. So Let's offer him that again. $1 million less than he's asking for as well. That would knock us down $20 million. I might honestly try and hold on to both these guys, maybe with the cap space for the time being. And then maybe we can make trades in next episode if we want to get rid of one. Yeah, let's try it. What about a 1-year deal for you, Ellington? You don't really want a 1-year deal. If we go 1 year, it gets a little bit into the pricey range. 2.875. But a 2-year deal is not a bad little trial run for a guy that's maybe going to take over for Nielkainen. Nielkainen does have the organizational interest, so if we go to the 2 years as well on him, it would cost us over $3 million bucks. We could probably get him for like around 3.9 for 2. I think I'm going to give them both a contract. We might trade away one of them the next episode. I just can't make up my mind. We have the money to re-sign both of them, so I'm going to just do that. Some guys might lose morale because of me signing in and trading, but we might honestly trade away one of them. I prefer just to have too many options to not enough. So let's do a 2-year deal for Ellington too, sure. We have the money anyways. These guys aren't going to cost us a ton. This is only temporarily, so at least letting go of Frendell had helped us a bit too with the money situation, because or else we probably wouldn't have the money. Looks like everybody accepted. Yeah, that's nice. We have $16 million in cap space, and these guys only to re-sign. We honestly might have some money to spend in free agency and maybe find some good players, but I don't know if there's anything we need. That's the one thing. So it's like, Okay, let's send to free agency, see what there's available. I know I'm making this episode long as shit, and I'm just keep talking and talking and talking, but can't shut up for no reason. It's probably because I'm overtired. Alright, so let's see. Any RFA still holding out? I didn't see who accepted and who rejected still. Biggers is the only one that's trying to hold out. We'll just sign him up probably at this point. Yeah, he's cheap. Boom. Take the money, man. Take the money. So it's $1.9 million. He'll probably accept the next episode, which means we have like around $15 million in cap space, which is pretty good. Actually, maybe closer to 14. I don't know the math exactly, but we have a lot of money basically to spend this offseason, which is nice. We already have our goaltending tandem. We already have our 3 goalies in the AHL. We don't need a goalie. Defensively, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 defensemen that could play. Rutter's listed as a top 6, I think, which means we still need an actual depth defenseman basically on this team. We could make a trade involving Rutter if we wanted to, so we could get ourselves a depth defenseman, but Haken probably jumps to the defense score of the season. Holmstrom is listed as a top 4, same with Novoseltsev, and Schaefer, and Tatar, and Houghton. So we still maybe need to make a decision with the defensive core. We could literally trade away 1 or 2 defensemen. Maybe one of these guys that are top 4 defensemen are okay to be on the top 6, but the other one not so much. So we might have to make a tough decision with this defensive core. So if you guys think any of these defensemen should get parted away with next episode, please let me know, because I think that's something we need to do. So that way we're getting everybody our ice time. But we do need a depth defenseman, because I'm not going to be using one of these guys as a depth guy in the NHL. Aside from that, let's see. Forwards, we got 3. We got 6. We got 9, 12 with Prince included. Trying to think of realistically what we could use, though. Because likely our top line has like Makinen. Second line might be Bjorkstrand this year. Giordano's on maybe center spot. Slahy. We probably already have our 4 centers at least. We probably have close to enough wingers as well. I don't know if there's much we do need, unless we wanted to upgrade a position. Like, we could use a really good bona fide right winger that's actually listed as a right winger, not a left wing, right wing, but I don't know about doing that. And we don't need a defenseman. I don't even think we really need anything. I don't think so, but maybe free agency will change your mind. AHL, we have a lot of good prospects still in our system. Like, I don't really know if there's any need for much of anything at this point. It's kind of crazy. Wow, alright. Goalies, yeah. Okay, well, let's take a look at this year's free agent crop. We'll also take a look at the trading block in case there's maybe an intriguing trade we can make, but this team probably doesn't need a lot. So we don't need a goalie for sure, but I'll still look here in goalies anyways, just so you guys can see who is available. So there's a lowly goaltender, which is kind of weird that he's a lowly. He must have been medium elite at one point. But Panaye, there's Gudis, our former backup for a little bit. Bjarnsson's still there as well. Yeah, don't really need a goalie, so this is pretty much pointless to look at, but okay. Defensively, I mean, if we got rid of a top four and wanted to upgrade him, maybe, but Pavel Mintyukov, I'll actually just hide my face so you guys can see everything. Nabokov, 84. 84 at 25. That's pretty decent, but he's not really panning out. Former 4th overall pick, and he's an offensive defenseman. This guy's going to probably become decent, but he definitely didn't develop into being that type of guy he was projected to be like. Interesting. He won the Masterton a few years back. All right. Yeah, I don't really think we need a defenseman too much. Craig Cassivi's testing free agency as a 24-year-old. So Philadelphia let him go. That's actually kind of insane. He wants $7.3 million. What? I didn't even think he had that crazy of a season. 1 assist in the playoffs and 25 in the regular season. Why is he trying to get $7.3 million? I don't really know. That's kind of strange. Pratt's there as well. 4.725. Damn, Pratt is trying to get paid. After his good playoffs with the Kraken, won a Stanley Cup with them. All these former guys want a lot of money, huh? But yeah, I don't really think we need defenders unless we upgraded something, but I don't think we need to upgrade. Aside from that, in terms of the forwards, the best right winger is Antropov, 84 at 25. Nothing crazy that we could use. So there's all that. Left wing side of things, Langlaw, 17.7 million this guy wants. God damn. I know he's an 89, but damn, that's a lot of money for a guy that just picked up only 95 points and has only been playing for 4 years. That's actually insane. He's 20 years old and he's only been playing for 4 years too. I don't know why this guy thinks he could get paid all that, but damn, whoever gives him a contract is going to be in cap hell. Only 2 teams want him. I would not be paying that guy $17 million. Alright. So if you guys see anything to bring in, just let me know. Centers, 92 in Coleman, 91 in Foy. That's some pretty good players for center, but we don't really need centers that bad anymore. Guess we got some good ones. Yeah, I don't really think there's too much I would sign in free agency. Like I said, maybe only a depth defenseman or something like that. Aside from that, in terms of the trading block, is there a blockbuster type of trade we can make this offseason? Because we might need to move out from some defensemen so they get playing time. So the Ducks have McTavish, Rakoff, Jaguar on the block. Boston has nothing. Buffalo, nothing. Calgary has Cato. Carolina, nothing. Chicago has Gabriel Degg. Some prospects as well. Colorado, nothing. Columbus has Michael Misa on the block, 32 years old at this point. Dallas still has more prospects on the block. Obviously, we stole a couple. Brad Lambert's decent. Janes is decent. Shanahan, Curry. There's some decent players there in Detroit, but I don't think it's anything I need too much. Maybe it is. Florida, some more prospects. LA, more prospects. Minnesota has Rossi, Ratu, Hellenius, Frolov. Feels like I'm playing like literally a throwback franchise mode with Frolov, Shanahan, and all that. It's kind of funny. All right. Montreal, nothing really. Nashville has Chimera on the block, who's an RFA goaltender. Jake Sanderson's dropping off a lot. New Jersey, nothing. New York, nothing. Ottawa has Brant Clark on the block. Philadelphia, just some prospects. Pittsburgh has Johansson on the block. Who are you? He's an okay player, but I don't know if he would be anything I need too much. He won a Stanley Cup, apparently. Gerbeshkov on the block as a 26-year-old depth forward. I mean, if we wanted depth forward, but that's not an upgrade really at all if we wanted to upgrade anything. In terms of the San Jose Sharks, they have Ekblad, who's a high top 6 at 26. He's making $9.4 million. Damn. He's a pretty solid offensive player, but damn. That's a little bit of a high cap hit. And it's not actually that crazy, I guess. But they also have Walters, who's a medium elite that's an RFA right now, wants to get paid. So the Sharks might be in a cap trouble right now. But Joel Walters is pretty solid. He does play right wing as well. It's actually just acquired this year from the Calgary Flames. Huh. So Calgary got rid of a young top prospect early in this franchise mode. That's interesting. Never played the playoffs. Third overall pick literally 6 years ago, and he's already been dealt one time. Huh. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen that often. Seattle, nothing. St. Louis has Oland on the block. That's the one that played with us, right? Yeah, that's the one I think that played with us. Yeah, it is. This guy's gone on to have some solid stats the last number of years, but he's getting paid $8.27 million as an 84. So shout out to that guy for securing the bag, but he never would have got that with us. Perindus is a medium elite goaltender. Don't need another goalie. Utah, nothing. Vancouver, nothing. Vegas, nothing. Washington, nothing. And Winnipeg, nothing. I don't really think there's anything we could do this offseason. I don't really know who like I said, I would trade away and all that. We have so many good prospects. We have good picks for the upcoming years. Like, we're in a really interesting spot right now with this team. Like, look at the potential of this team here and how many elite players are in our system or on our NHL team. It's actually kind of absurd. I might have like 30 plus elite players. Holy shit. Some top 6s, some top 4s. Yeah, I honestly don't know what we're going to do. Our worst potential player is the 7th D. We only have one exact bottom 6. Everybody else has like low top 9 and above. And then if we go to our goalie prospects, it's also a logjam. And then if we go to our draft picks, we still have literally 2 first-round picks this upcoming year. I honestly don't think there's really anything I could do in terms of actually making this team better. But maybe there is. Maybe a better coach is what we need. Maybe that's what we need. Let's actually take a look at the available coaches, and then we'll end this episode after that, just because I'm kind of been rambling on a little bit long. But in terms of the coaches, obviously our current head coach is what kind of fit right now with this team? I feel like he was pretty high, right? 64. Is there anybody higher than a 64 that we can maybe bring in and test out as a head coaching option? Because maybe just one new coach would help this team a bit. 64 also there with Weber. Maybe bring in Weber, 66 years old. Anybody else? 61. Not really oh, there's a 66 and Brent Burns. Maybe we bring in Brent Burns as a coach. He's 55 years old at this point. Maybe. He wouldn't be our head coach, but we could have him working together with like Bo Horvat as like an assistant coach or something. Maybe. Yeah, maybe a small coaching adjustment wouldn't be the end of the world. I honestly don't know. Because I feel like Jenks has done a good job as our head coach, but playoff success has not been a thing for him. Season this year, 47, and actually it was 6 years ago. Why is it only showing one season stat? But anyways, it says in the regular season, he has a record of 281, 171, and 40. His playoff record all time is 40 and 30. Only came close to winning the Stanley Cup the one time. I do like him as a head coach, but I don't know if he's the guy going forward. Maybe we find another coach. Maybe we do. Well, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Your Calendars Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to free agency. We'll see if we sign anything or make any trades. I don't really know what to do if I do need to make any trades. We'll also start up the season simulation and see how this team does. But obviously, I think this team is going to be in the playoffs again next season. But the one thing I'm a little bit worried on is obviously how long for, because this team has been successful in terms of the playoffs, but they haven't been successful enough where they've been able to get that Stanley Cup win. And we're almost getting into 2040 at this point, which is kind of insane. So we should probably have a cup by now, but we haven't found that. So we got to find that next level. Maybe moving on from Frendell this offseason will help things, but hopefully we can have a really good season and also a good playoffs ahead as well. So think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.